So you're looking to start investing and you don't know where to go, and you're considering Betterment as one of your options. In this video, I'll be talking about my honest review on Betterment, and I'll be talking about the 3.5 years I've been using it. And we're starting right now. What is going on? My name is Jung Ho, and welcome back to another video. If this is your first time here and you're interested in personal finance, self-improvement, and any other videos that might be talking about investing or other apps, start now by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss a thing. This is a very special video because I actually really like Betterment. And just right off the bat, my overall review and opinion on Betterment is relatively positive. Betterment was actually my first app that I started using just to start investing. And I'll be talking about all the different positives as well as somewhat of the limitations that you have with it. But I want to first go over what Betterment is, what robo-advising is, and then go into the details on what makes it so good. And I do want to say there is two options for it, where one is more in the lower end where beginner investors could start using, while there's also the premium version. I won't be talking about the premium in this video, given that I'm not actually a premium member, but I want to talk more about the entry level where you can start investing right away with any amount. So let me go ahead and actually dive into what it looks like right now. And let me actually start off by showing you how it looks like. So here you could see the net worth, the total net worth on top. And then from there you could see all of your portfolios and goals that you have for that. And so you could see that I have quite the large amount of goals that I started doing. I realized that after a while that I shouldn't have made so many. But you know, you're able to kind of tailor the goals that you have relative to how long you want to invest it for and how aggressive you want to be. So I'm going to dive into the overall performance and actually go into when I first started investing and then to where I am today. And so here, so you see the amount where you see the 50,000. So this is a great way to show just by week of what amount that you had. So you can see here in January 30th, 2016, I first started off with investing $600. And the great thing about Betterment is that it has an account minimum of 0. And so you can start investing right away with relative to probably from like $1 to $10 from there. And so you can see here that I actually earned $3.97. So I think this $3.97 is actually a growth that I had for that day. So now diving in, so this was June 2016. And if you fast forward this to June maybe 2017, it grew from $600 to $3,947. And so obviously I invested $3,600, so another $3,000 since then. And so this is a month after I graduated and started investing. But at this point, I started investing pretty regularly. I tried to put in, and they had a promotion during that time where I believe if you put in $100 a month, they would actually waive off the maintenance costs. So as you can see here, the security is great. If you're not using it for a couple minutes or not moving it, they will kick you out of the app, I guess. And so that is a good thing about it.
Blow that piece of junk out of the sky!
And from then onwards, from June, you could see that it started to grow more. I started investing a little bit more regularly. You see a little dip here. This is where I guess I took out 1,000. And this is the importance of actually having an emergency fund where you don't actually have to take out the amount they invested, that you could just take money. Let's say you had a one-time cost of $600 for your car or checkup. And so I think during that time I had to actually take it out. So that kind of took me back a little bit. But as you could see, you do see the little bit separation between the blue line and the gray line. The gray line is the amount that I invested, while the blue line you could see is the amount that it grew over. And so that could be relative to the growth or the dividends that you have. Now I want to start diving into what robo-advising is. So when it comes to investing, there's a couple of options to do this. In the past, there's only 2 ways to invest, where basically in one of them, you are the sole person who decides what to invest in and what to sell from that, right? And then there's another option where you have a financial advisor who will do that for you. And so what you do is you give them the money and they will take a portion of that every year as a management fee, as well as a certain percentage of the profit that they make. And so that can get hefty after a certain time, especially if you do it year by year. That will slow down the compound growth. And what has happened in the past couple of years and maybe a decade or two is that we had that financial advisors, and it kind of branched off where that in-person interaction is still there, but the fees are much lower given that everything's pretty transparent now. But there's also another option where there's a robo-advising platform where there is a low management fee and everything's pretty passive. Let me dive into what that really means. So in this portfolio of Build Wealth, you see 90% stocks, all right? And so when I dive into the holdings of it, majority of this is actually some kind of index fund or mutual fund. And as you can see here, the total stock market. And a certain percentage on the right, you can see what are the breakdowns of it. But the reason why it's so cost effective is the fact that everything is put into a low cost index fund. So Betterment works relatively easy, and this is kind of related to all other robo-advising platforms, is they want to know how long you want to invest for and how aggressive you want to be. That's pretty much it in terms of the formula, and from then they'll determine how much stocks they'll put in. Now that's a pretty brief overview of what that is, and so in this you could see with each of the goals there is somewhat of a time horizon that's related to it, as well as the percentage of stocks allocation to the bond allocation. So for me, I always wanted to invest, given that that is a very good way to grow your money, and I love the concept of money growing into more money. There's a funny story actually. When I used to be around like 3 or 4, I had this great epiphany that I'm gonna put a quarter into a dirt, and that it will sprout into a plant that will give me more quarters. That is essentially investing, but I didn't know that at the time. I was pretty diligent with watering it and making sure it got sunlight, but sadly it didn't grow into anything. But had I known about investing, I would have probably gotten into that a little bit earlier. And so because I knew I wanted to start investing, I knew investing in the index fund was very important. And that was to do with this book, actually. It talked a lot about mutual funds as well as low-cost index funds. By keeping it low cost, you're able to get more money back comparative to active portfolios, where they lose a lot of money in the transactions as well as the management fee. And if you want to start investing, I think Betterment is a great way to go. And especially for new investors, I think it's a great way to get plugged in. And so let me dive into all the pros and cons of it, so you understand what drives my decision as well as possibly your decision to start investing with Betterment. Going into the pros, the first pro has to be that it's so easy to use. You saw me go through it when you sign up and when you set goals and your time horizons. All the questions are relatively easy to answer, and you can navigate through the app pretty easily. And kind of complementary to being easy to use is the fact that you're able to sign up relatively easy as well, with an account minimum of $0 that I mentioned before. Management fee of 0.25% is actually pretty low as well. And so you right off the bat know there's no account minimums and there's low cost from that. And then to wrap that first part up is the fact that it is so passive. You put in money and you just let it grow. I actually don't check my Betterment account that often. I know I spoke about the Robinhood video, and I actually check that account maybe every couple of days. But with Betterment, I rarely check it, maybe once every couple months, or just kind of curious to where it is, the market. But it's relatively hands-off. And if you're an investor who likes that passive portion, Betterment is a great way to go. Number 2 is the fact that you could have tax advantage accounts. This is the Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs that you could open up with Betterment. There's also the SEP IRA. It's a retirement account for the self-employed. And this was a big negative for an app like Robinhood, where you don't have that tax advantage. In this case, anything that's traditional, you could get some of your taxes back for the amount that you put in. And so if for an account like Roth IRA, you're able to grow that tax-free. Number 3 is the fact that you're able to see your past performance as well as actually visualize the future performance as well. And through that, you're able to set goals and see the expectations on how much the amount that you put in will help you to grow that. And I think the best part about this is that it incentivizes you to put in more money, given that if it says, oh, if you put in this amount every month, it could grow up to a certain portion. I could actually show that right now of how that looks like. So here is another build wealth one where I'm just putting in $10 right now. This is what it looks like for the trajectory for this account. So what I have here is $8,814 and what's projected balance is $84,223 at 2054. And so you could actually see the amount that it's going to grow to, and from this trajectory it's going to grow 10 times. But let's say if I was putting more money in there monthly, this amount will grow. But you do see the green line, the solid green line, where it will tell you an estimated amount that they believe will. But the light green is where you see the range of how it might grow. Let's say the market doesn't do as well, it will be on the lower end. Or let's say if the market actually performs pretty well, it might go higher than the amount that they estimate. Number 4 is rebalancing automatically and tax harvesting through that. Let me go into the rebalancing. So rebalancing your portfolio means that when the market goes down, you're actually supposed to keep the amount that you put in the same. So let's say you have a certain amount in your stocks portfolio and your bonds. When the market goes down, the stocks are usually supposed to go down much more than the bonds. And so because of that, what you want to do is you want to bring some of your bond amounts into the stock, where when it bounces back, this will grow much higher. Tax harvesting is when you actually lose a certain amount in your investment and sell it. So that is a realized loss. And when you have a realized loss, you could actually put this against your taxes and have that as a tax deduction. Tax harvesting will help you to save as much money as possible when you are at a loss. There's 2 things that are bad with Betterment, I believe. First is the fact that you can't actually choose an individual stock or use a very specific fund. And this would help beginning investors to not lose too much money, given that you don't put all your eggs in one basket, and you're actually spread out and making sure that you are well balanced in your portfolio. So it could be a bad in that case, but it could also be a good if it prevents someone from losing too much money when investing. Number 2 is the fact that, like I spoke about earlier, this is not an in-person financial advisor, but there is an option for that. However, it is pretty up there in price. I believe it's around $199 to about $299, and so this is a pretty big negative, and so you might as well go to someone else or a different app for that. That pretty much wraps up this video in terms of all the good things and bad things about Betterment, and also with why I started with Betterment. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that, and let me know in the comments as well if you are a user of Betterment. So if you thought that this video was helpful or informative to help you decide whether or not Betterment is for you, make sure you hit that like button, because this will help me to know what people are looking for. And if you want, you could also subscribe to my channel if you like content like this, as well as anything that's related to personal finance and self-improvement. Besides that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.